There are always many different ways and approaches to studying a particular topic. With Himalayan art, we have three main divisions. We have art history, we have iconography, and we have religious context. And then under that, we have so many different topics, be they iconographic forms, just styles of painting, styles of sculpture, murals, book illuminations. There's just many, many different topics. And when it comes to iconography and the study of an historical person or a deity, then again, there are different methods and different ways to study. So we've already talked a little bit about Gesar, King Gesar of Tibet. Well, Gesar is an interesting example because what we have is we have a long history of literary epic Gesar, and this is all based on oral tradition and stories, songs, and dances. But we really don't have visual art in the way of painting or sculpture. This comes much later, and it comes about in a slightly different way rather than being the foundation of oral repetition, dance, and performance. So with the study of Gesar, really the topic has to be divided into two main branches. The first is the literary epic or folk Gesar, and what art can be found for this. And then the second is religious Gesar. So for the folk Gesar, this goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, possibly 1,000. We know the name goes back to possibly the 5th, 6th century of the Common Era, with really a king of likely to be more the Tajik area or Sogdian area, where we have King Gesaro, and we even have coins that represent him from that time period. So we have a very long history of the literary Gesar. But to find Gesar in painting and sculpture, this is very new, and really the first kind of authenticated record of Gesar being treated as a truly religious figure is really Lelong Shepe Dorje. Right now, earlier texts might be found, but right now we're looking at song offerings, smoke offerings, and texts related to that, which is a common Tibetan practice that made its way into Buddhism, also Tibetan Buddhism. So we have texts from the early 18th century, mid-18th century. Then we have texts occasionally occurring after that, around 1800, and then we really find a full development of Gesar as a religious figure in the 19th century, with kind of the full-blown religious practices of Gesar really being penned mostly by Mipham Rinpoche around the turn of the century, the 1900s. So with religious Gesar, what we find is we find the different types of iconic figures, and with that subject, what is important is to follow the chronology of religious texts. Now, the reason this is so important for this study subject is because there's so few of them. It can be done relatively easily, and the development of the iconography of religious Gesar can be followed. So, for religious Gesar, we have the topics of iconographic figures found in this very late literature. We have the chronology of religious texts, and we have the chronology of the art and iconography that is based on those very late 18th and 19th century religious texts. For literary epic Gesar, we really have, we can find a generic form of Gesar found in painting and sculpture, but of course this is developed late as well. This is 19th and 20th century. And then we find life story paintings and book illumination paintings of the life story. But again, these are relatively new as well, primarily 19th and 20th century. But these are the important key study topics, the subjects for pursuing a deeper understanding of the history and the art relating to King Gesar. So don't forget, press the like button, you can subscribe, and you can also support HAR on Patreon.